From golf cart girls getting banned for wearing too spicy outfits, to dangerous golf shots so wild they ended in disaster. These are 20 crazy golf moments that went totally wrong. And first, we start with number 20. Here we have Ludvig Aberg's mind-blowing 1-in-a-million shot at the Scottish Open. Golf is a game of inches, but sometimes those inches lead to something completely absurd. Just ask Ludvig Aberg, who pulled off one of the rarest shots you'll ever see at the 2024 Genesis Scottish Open. So what exactly went down? It all unfolded on the par 4 8th hole. Aberg had 148 yards to the pin and struck what looked like a textbook approach. Pure, precise, the kind of shot that makes the gallery start clapping before the ball even touches the green. It was tracking toward the flag, destined for a birdie opportunity, until something truly bizarre happened. Out of all the places that ball could have landed, it somehow found the exact spot where Collin Morikawa's ball was sitting. The collision sent both golf balls ricocheting in opposite directions, leaving Aberg staring at the green in disbelief and commentators scrambling to make sense of what they had just witnessed. You could almost hear the collective, "Did that really just happen?" Under the rules of golf, Morikawa was allowed to replace his ball, but Aberg? He wasn't so lucky. His ball had bounced into the rough, turning what should have been a routine birdie putt into an unexpected nightmare. He walked off the hole with a bogey, shaking his head at what felt like a 1-in-a-million fluke. Next up at number 19, and this is the kind of bad luck that makes you question reality. We're at the 2015 Portugal Masters. Álvaro Quiros is playing the par 5 12th hole. He's done the hard work already. 3 solid shots, and now he's standing over a 10-foot birdie putt. Not a gimme, but definitely makeable. He reads it, lines it up, rolls it with confidence, and misses it by that much. No worries. It stops just inches from the cup. It's a tap-in. Move on. Easy par. But nope. Golf had other plans. Quiros steps up to finish it off with a soft little nudge, and that's when it happens. The ball drops into the hole, hits the back of the cup, and bounces right back out. Straight up. Like the hole spit it out on purpose. For a second, time freezes. Quiros just stares at it like his brain can't quite process what just happened. The crowd gasps. The commentators go dead silent. And everyone watching is thinking the same thing. Wait, did that really just happen? It was the easiest shot of the day, and it turned into a mini horror story. Later inspection revealed that the cup may have been cut slightly incorrectly, creating a subtle lip that caused the ball to rebound. But whatever the reason, Quiros had just experienced one of golf's cruelest tricks. Denied a routine par by a fraction of an inch and a really weird bounce. Here at number 18, and we rewind to 2018. To a moment so shocking it froze the entire golfing world. Brooks Koepka, the unstoppable force known for his jaw-dropping drives, stood at the tee during the Ryder Cup in France. The pressure was sky-high, and Brooks unleashed one of his trademark bombs, a swing that seemed destined for glory. But this time, something went terribly wrong. Instead of a perfect arc soaring down the fairway, the ball veered sharply into the crowd. In an instant, cheers turned to gasps. The ball struck a woman directly in the face, and she crumpled to the ground, clutching her eye. The impact was devastating. Brooks, visibly shaken, rushed to her side as medical staff arrived. The gravity of the situation was undeniable. Later, it was revealed that the injury had left her permanently blind in one eye. A tragic and life-altering consequence of a sport she loved. But for Mrs. Remand, the story didn't end there. She expressed anger and frustration, not just at the accident itself, but at the circumstances surrounding it. She claimed there was a lack of proper safety measures at the event. Marshals, she said, failed to warn the crowd that a ball was headed their way, and spectators wouldn't have been able to hear shouts of "4" from the tee box. Adding insult to injury, she said tournament officials never followed up with her after she was rushed to the hospital, leaving her feeling abandoned in the aftermath of the incident. For Brooks, it was a haunting moment that would follow him for years. "It's the worst thing that's ever happened on a golf course," he later admitted. But for the sport itself, this moment was a wake-up call. Number 17 takes us back to Australian pro Mike Clayton stands over a short putt, the kind professionals make 99 times out of 100. He strokes the putt with confidence. The ball tracks toward the hole, but it lips out. A small frustration, the kind golfers experience countless times in their careers, nothing especially noteworthy. Then Clayton does what many golfers have done before. He tosses his putter into the air, intending to catch it as it comes back down. A common reaction, a harmless release of anger. The putter spins upward, rotating in the air. But what happens next is absolutely incredible. As the putter descends, Clayton awkwardly reaches to catch it. He fumbles the catch, stumbles forward, and in the process, his club makes contact with his ball still sitting near the hole. In the span of 2 seconds, Clayton has gone from a simple, missed putt to a bizarre, self-inflicted penalty. Under Rule 18-2, moving your ball at rest results in a one-stroke penalty. The ball must be replaced, and Clayton now faces the same putt again, except it's now for a double bogey instead of a bogey. At number 16, we head to the brutal links of Carnoustie in 2007. It's the Open Championship, golf's oldest major, on the toughest course in the rotation. Because they don't call it Carnoustie for nothing. But here we are in the final round, the 72nd hole. With Spanish sensation Sergio Garcia, seeking his first major championship after years of near misses, holds a one-shot lead. The pressure is immense. Decades of Spanish golfing heritage rest on his shoulders. His entire career has built to this moment. He takes a deep breath, strokes the putt. The ball rolls toward the hole on a perfect line. And then it lips out. The ball catches the edge of the cup, circles around, and stubbornly stays above ground. Victory was literally inches away, and now he must face a playoff against Padraig Harrington. In that playoff, Garcia's luck continued to desert him. A shot that hit the flagstick bounced away from the hole instead of toward it. Harrington claimed the title, and Garcia was left to wonder what might have been. The cruelest part? Garcia later revealed that he had been forced to wait an agonizing 5 minutes before that final putt, watching a solitary bunker rake not one, but 2 bunkers, while his mind raced and the pressure mounted. He would later say that 5 minutes of waiting with the most important shot of my life ahead of me. But would the result have been different without that wait? We'll never know. What we do know is that in a game of inches and seconds, 5 minutes can feel like an eternity. And a putt that misses by an inch might as well be a mile. And here we are with number 15, and you might want to lean in for this one. The Nationwide Children's Hospital Championship, a make-or-break event on the developmental tour where careers are launched or left hanging. The pressure's real, with PGA Tour cards up for grabs for the season's top finishers. Hudson Swafford is going through his pre-shot routine in the fairway. Nothing unusual, just a practice swing, getting the feel for the shot ahead. He's keeping it smooth and controlled. His iron digs into the turf, taking a small divot. Nothing out of the ordinary. But then, in a moment of pure, physics-defying madness, the divot, like a mini frisbee, flies forward through the air, and it heads straight for Swafford's ball sitting in the fairway. The divot hits the ball, nudging it a few inches forward. And yep, you heard that right. Not his club, not his foot. Just a flying chunk of turf from a practice swing. And just when you think it can't possibly get any worse, oh, it does. See, once that divot leaves the ground, it's considered a loose impediment. And if a loose impediment causes your ball to move, that's a one-stroke penalty. Doesn't matter how unlucky it is, rules are rules. The ball had to be put back, and Hudson had to wear that penalty on the scorecard like a scar. Which brings us to number 14, until karma struck back. The 2021 3M Open at TPC Twin Cities. Richie Werenski stands on the tee of the par 3 17th hole, a challenging test with water guarding the green. His tee shot comes up short, rolling down a slope toward the hazard. The gallery holds its collective breath as the ball teeters on the edge of disaster, and then stops. Somehow, defying gravity and probability, Werenski's ball comes to rest on the rocks, just above the waterline. It's a near miracle, the kind of break that can save a round, perhaps even a tournament. Faced with this precarious lie, Werenski has a choice. Take a drop with a penalty stroke, or attempt to play the ball as it lies from the rocks. Whether it's guts or just questionable judgment, Werenski goes for it. He climbs onto the rocks, finds his balance as best he can, and tries a soft chip to get the ball back in play. Well, you can probably guess what happens next. But still, it's pretty tragic. His club strikes a rock during the downswing, causing the ball to ricochet violently, directly into the water hazard. Just like that, Werenski's crazy good luck turns into a total mess. The ball that somehow stayed dry ends up needing a penalty drop anyway, and he walks away with a double bogey. One swing takes him from lucky to unlucky. Classic. Next up, number 13. It left fans around the world absolutely speechless. Nelly Korda, world number 1, the face of women's golf, and a player known for her calm under pressure, suffered a meltdown at the 2024 KPMG Women's PGA Championship that no one saw coming. Let's rewind. Korda entered the year riding high, having finally claimed her first major championship. She looked unstoppable, the kind of player who could contend every single week. But heading into Sahali, the cracks were already starting to show. 2 missed cuts in her last 2 starts had raised some eyebrows. Still, this was Nelly Korda. Surely, she'd bounce back on a stage as big as the women's PGA, right? Not quite. Her first round was shaky but salvageable, a 3 over par 75 that kept her within reach of the cut line. But Friday? Friday was an entirely different story. From the moment she teed off, it was clear something was off. Bogeys piled up like a slow-moving train wreck, 8 in total by the time she reached the clubhouse. And the par 5 11th? A disastrous double bogey sealed her fate. The final scorecard? A jaw-dropping 81, leaving her at 9 over par and miles outside the cut line. For a player of Korda's caliber, it was nothing short of stunning. What makes this moment so memorable isn't just the numbers, it's the context. This was her 3rd consecutive missed cut, a shocking downturn for someone who had been the best player in the world just months earlier. To go from the heights of major glory to this kind of struggle left fans and commentators alike wondering, what happened to Nelly Korda? Now, number 12. Arnold Palmer, 1966 U.S. Open at the Olympic Club in San Francisco. This wasn't just a collapse, this was a complete and utter implosion that still echoes through golf history. Palmer, the king himself, at the height of his powers, with his army of fans following his every move, was on the verge of something special. Leading by 9 shots in the final round, Arnie was about to claim his 2nd U.S. Open title and his 8th major championship overall. But this is where Palmer's legendary aggressive style, the very thing that made him the people's champion, became his undoing. Instead of playing it safe, protecting his massive lead, Arnie kept attacking flags like he was trying to shoot 59. It was classic Palmer, go for broke, give the fans a show. Billy Casper, meanwhile, played with the precision of a surgeon, methodically dissecting the course while Palmer self-destructed. It was so painful to watch. At the par 5 13th, a bogey started to chip away at his cushion. Then came the par 4 15th, where a careless 3-putt bogey brought Casper even closer. By the 16th, a disastrous double bogey wiped out the last of his lead, and Casper had caught him. Palmer's 9-shot advantage was gone. The next day's 18-hole playoff wasn't even close. Casper, steady as ever, won by 4 shots, claiming his 2nd U.S. Open title. For Palmer, this wasn't just a loss, it was a turning point. He would never win another major championship, and the collapse became a shadow that followed him for the rest of his life. Coming in at number 11, and this takes us to a moment as heartbreaking as it is unforgettable. Rory McIlroy's collapse at the 2024 U.S. Open. After 10 long years without a major, this was supposed to be his redemption. 2 shots clear, with 4 to play, at Pinehurst No. 2, the same course where Payne Stewart had famously won in 1999. The stars seemed aligned. McIlroy was playing brilliant golf, and the galleries were willing him toward victory, desperate to see him claim his first major since 2014. But golf, as always, had other plans. The unraveling began at the par 3 15th, where McIlroy missed the green and couldn't save par. His lead shrank to 1. Then came the 16th, a par 4 he should have handled with ease. Instead, a sloppy approach left him scrambling, and he shockingly missed a 2-foot putt for par, a brutal mistake that left him visibly rattled. The 17th brought brief hope as Rory steadied himself with a crucial par save, but the damage wasn't done yet. On the 18th, with the championship still within his grasp, McIlroy's nerves betrayed him again. A 3-foot putt for par lipped out, sealing his fate with a 3rd bogey in the final 4 holes. Bryson DeChambeau, steady under pressure, took the title by a single stroke. The collapse was so devastating that McIlroy, one of golf's most media-friendly stars who always faces the music no matter how difficult the situation, skipped the post-round interviews. In the aftermath, McIlroy called it probably the toughest experience of his 17-year career, and announced he needed time away from golf to recover. Even Sir Nick Faldo, who knows a thing or two about major championship pressure, suggested this collapse could haunt Rory for years to come. Next up, number 10. It's so brutal, it's almost unimaginable. This one brings us to Robert Garrigus at the 2010 FedEx St. Jude Classic at TPC Southwind. And oh boy, this one is wild. A 3-shot lead, 1 hole to play, and a chance to secure his first ever PGA Tour victory. You literally just have to keep your ball on planet Earth to win. The 18th hole was playing as a straightforward par 4. All he needed was a boring par or even a bogey. Heck, he could have made a double bogey and still won the tournament. Instead, Garrigus decided to give us all a masterclass in how to throw away a tournament. Water off the tee? Check. Trees with the next shot? You bet. After taking a penalty drop, he made the puzzling decision to go for the green instead of laying up, and his ball found the trees. By the time he punched out to the fairway, hit his 5th shot onto the green and 2-putted for a triple bogey 7, that 3-shot lead had completely disappeared. But wait, if you think it couldn't get worse, you're wrong. In the sudden death playoff against Lee Westwood and Robert Carlson, he managed to find a tree again on the very first extra hole, because apparently the first time wasn't painful enough to watch. His tee shot left him no shot at the green, leading to a bogey and elimination from the playoff. Westwood would go on to claim victory 4 holes later, while Garrigus was left to wonder how a seemingly certain victory turned into one of golf's most spectacular collapses. Number 9 takes us way back to Sam Snead in 1947. The US Open was Snead's white whale, the one trophy that always eluded him despite being one of the greatest golfers ever. We're talking about Slammin' Sammy here, a man who would go on to win a record 82 PGA Tour events, 7 majors, and was famous for having the most beautiful swing in golf history. But the US Open, that tournament seemed to have a personal vendetta against him. The 1947 heartbreak at St. Louis Country Club was the cruelest of them all. Snead was in a playoff with Lou Worsham. He faces a mere 2.5-footer to extend the playoff. A putt so short that Snead could probably have made it with his eyes closed on any other day. But this was the US Open, and these weren't just any 2.5 feet. They were the longest 30 inches in golf history. The ball slid past the hole, and with it went another chance at the trophy he coveted most. Back in 1939, he failed too. It's like the US Open had some kind of curse on Slammin' Sammy. 4 times he finished second, but never got to lift that trophy. The tournament that should have been his masterpiece became his nemesis. Now we're at number 8, and this one is special because it features none other than the seemingly untouchable Tiger Woods. By 2009, Tiger wasn't just the best closer in golf, he was the best closer ever. Leading after 3 rounds at the PGA Championship, he'd done this 14 times before in majors, and won every single one. To the golf world, it was a foregone conclusion. Tiger didn't lose leads, period. But the 2009 PGA Championship wasn't just another chapter in Tiger's storybook career. It became the scene of one of his most shocking collapses, thanks to an unlikely challenger, Y.E. Yang, ranked 110th in the world. A player no one expected to contend, let alone go toe-to-toe with Tiger on Sunday. Yang didn't flinch, he didn't crumble. In fact, he played the round of his life. The pivotal moment came on the par 4 14th, where Yang delivered a thunderbolt of a chip-in for eagle, instantly seizing the momentum. The crowd was stunned, and, for the first time in a major, Tiger looked vulnerable. On the 18th, with everything on the line, Yang cemented his place in history. A towering approach shot soared over a tree and landed within 10 feet of the hole. A shot so audacious, so perfect, it left even Tiger shaking his head. As Yang holed the birdie putt, the absolute unthinkable happened. Tiger Woods, the greatest closer in golf history, choked. It was like watching Superman discover kryptonite for the first time, and the golf world would never look at Tiger quite the same way again. Coming in at number 7, and you probably won't believe this next moment, but back in 2015 with 6 holes to play, Ricky Fowler was done. Finished. A footnote in someone else's victory speech. At least, that's what the world thought. At that moment, Fowler wasn't even on the radar. 5 shots back, chasing a leaderboard stacked with big names. But then, something shifted. Something clicked. What followed was one of the most outrageous, clutch, and downright unreal finishes in golf history. It started at the 13th, birdie. A nice boost, but nothing out of the ordinary. Then, the 15th, another birdie. Now people were paying attention. The par 5 16th, eagle, a dagger straight into the heart of the leaderboard. Fowler was no longer a long shot. He was coming. But the real magic, that happened on the island green at 17. The signature hole, the ultimate test, the one that eats contenders alive. But Fowler? He stepped up and fired a dart to 4 feet. birdie. And just like that, the tension at TPC Sawgrass cranked up to full blast. By the time he walked up to the 18th tee, the roars were deafening. He needed one more, one last birdie to keep the dream alive. And, of course, he delivered. Clutch, cold-blooded, vintage Fowler. A final round 67, a seat at the playoff table, and two opponents, Sergio Garcia and Kevin Kisner, who had just watched him torch the back nine like it was a Sunday stroll. The playoff? It was a clinic. Fowler didn't just win, he owned it. He birdied 17 again in the three-hole aggregate, then sealed it in sudden death with one final clutch putt. 3 birdies on 17 in an hour. Game over. Arms raised, crowd erupting. Fowler had just delivered one of the greatest closing stretches ever. Speaking of pressure situations, number 6 takes us to the 1991 Ryder Cup, and Mark Calcavecchia's meltdown that still gives golf fans nightmares. This wasn't just any Ryder Cup. This was the infamous War on the Shore at Kiowa Island's Ocean Course, where tension was already at an all-time high. Team USA hadn't won the cup in their last 3 attempts, and the pressure was mounting to bring it back home. So what happened? Enter Calcavecchia's singles match against Colin Montgomery. 4 up with 4 to play. You cannot lose from there. It's literally impossible. The American just needed to win or have any of the remaining holes to win the cup for his country. Well, Calc found a way to make the impossible possible, and what followed was horrible. The collapse started gradually, then picked up speed like an avalanche. 1 hole lost, then another, and yet another. By the time they reached the par 3 17th, Calc's game had completely deserted him. The lowlight? A near shank into the water on 17 when Monty had already dunked his ball. A golden opportunity squandered. And then came the coup de grace, missing a 2-footer for double bogey that would have won the cup for America. It never even touched the hole. The mental torture was so severe that after having the match, Calcavecchia literally walked away from the 18th green, down to the beach, and collapsed into the sand, sobbing uncontrollably. Counting down to number 5. This one shows us that even the smallest mistakes can have massive consequences. Here's the story of Hale Irwin at the 1983 British Open. This wasn't a collapse in the traditional sense. It was more like a brain freeze of epic proportions, and it came out of nowhere during the 3rd round at Royal Birkdale. Irwin was in contention, playing solid golf, when he faced a 20-foot birdie putt at the 14th hole. After missing the birdie attempt, he did what he'd done thousands of times before. Walked up to tap in the remaining few inches. Pure routine, something pros do in their sleep. But in a moment, that still makes golfers cringe 40 years later. Irwin casually went to tap it in. And completely whiffed. Missed the ball entirely. The gallery gasped. His playing partners stood in shocked silence. It was like watching a master chef forget how to boil water. The error was so bizarre that it took everyone a moment to process what had happened. That casual swipe of frustration, that momentary lapse in concentration, ended up costing him dearly. He lost the tournament by a single shot to Tom Watson. It's the golf equivalent of tripping over your own feet at the finish line. For a 3-time US Open champion and one of the game's most meticulous players, it was a humble reminder that golf can break even the greatest players in the most mundane moments. Let's talk about number 4, and one of the most excruciating moments ever witnessed at Augusta National. It's 1978, and the Masters is coming down to a dramatic finish. Gary Player had already put on a show, firing an incredible final round 64 to take the clubhouse lead. But all eyes were on Hubert Green, still out on the course, methodically closing in on the chance to force a playoff. As Green approached the 18th green, the tension was palpable. His second shot? Perfect. The kind of approach you dream about, landing 3 feet from the cup. The gallery roared. It was all there for him. A short putt to keep the Masters alive, but in golf, nothing is ever that simple. As Green stood over the putt, the worst thing that could happen happened. Out of nowhere, a radio announcer's voice cut through the still Augusta air like a knife. The interruption shattered the silence, and Green's focus. He stepped back, took a deep breath, and then pushed it right. Just like that, a green jacket slipped through his fingers and Player claimed his 3rd Masters title. The moral of the story? Sometimes the shortest putts leave the longest scars. And at Augusta National, even the smallest distractions can write themselves into golf history. Here's number 3. Every golfer dreams of an albatross. Almost no one actually makes one. But in 2018, Brooks Koepka pulled off the impossible, and it happened so fast, even he barely had time to react. Final round, TPC Sawgrass. The par 5 16th. Brooks crushed a monster drive, leaving himself a long but gettable second shot. The crowd expected an aggressive play. Maybe he'd stick it close for an eagle look. But then he didn't just get it close. Brooks pulled a 6-iron, took a smooth swing, and sent the ball soaring. It landed softly, took one bounce, then started rolling. The crowd noise grew. The ball kept tracking. And then, gone. Straight in, an albatross. The reaction? Pure shock. The crowd exploded. Brooks barely cracked a smile, and just like that, he'd made history. Only the second ever albatross on 16 at the Players. He wasn't done either, riding that momentum to a course record-tying 63. Sliding into number 2. Imagine this. Kim is standing on the 18th green at the Kraft Nabisco Championship. She's 1 stroke ahead of the leader in the clubhouse and 2 strokes clear of the only remaining challenger on the course. The trophy is practically hers. All that stands between Kim and her first major championship is a putt so short it's almost insulting. This is supposed to be the moment of celebration. The crowd goes silent as IK Kim steps up to the ball. 1 foot, that's all. It's the kind of putt you'd make 99 times out of 100 without even thinking about it. But this isn't practice. This is a major championship, and the pressure is suffocating. She strokes the ball, and it misses. Not just barely. It doesn't even touch the hole. The gallery gasps. Kim looks as though she's been struck by lightning. With the miss, she's forced into a playoff with Sun Young Yu, and the writing is already on the wall. The playoff begins, but Kim is still reeling. On the first hole, Yu stays ice cold, draining a clutch birdie putt while Kim falters. It's over. What was supposed to be Kim's crowning moment has transformed into one of the most devastating collapses in golf history. And finally, number 1. The 17th at TPC Sawgrass has stolen plenty of golf balls, but in 1998, there was something different. Brad Fable had done everything right. A solid tee shot onto the green. Job well done. He started walking up, probably thinking about his next putt, when suddenly, the crowd started buzzing. People were pointing, whispering. Something was off. And then, boom. Out of nowhere, a seagull swooped in like it owned the place. It strutted over to Brad's ball, gave it a couple of pecks, and before anyone could react, snatched it up and flew away. Brad's just standing there, watching his ball disappear into the sky. And then, because this wasn't crazy enough already, the bird dropped it, right into the water. Just like that, Brad's shot was literally stolen off the course. Luckily, golf has a rule for seagull theft, who knew? So he got to replace the ball without penalty. But let's be honest, after something like that, how do you even focus? He went on to 3-putt for bogey, probably still trying to process what just happened. Oh, and if you're still with us, we have another great video for you to watch, right in the middle of the screen. Enjoy.